Hey, it's Vera from verajm.com, and we are going to have a nice conversation interview with my friend Sandra Dee Robinson. And I'm very, very excited to share her with you because I know in my own personal journey she has helped me. So I'm excited to talk to you and talk to her about what she's up to these days. I'm just going to add her to this broadcast. So just give me 1 second. That's the beauty of Facebook Live. Whoops, it's live. So I'm just going to add her here. Here we go. Add viewers. Oh, why is it not giving me the search now? Oh, there we go. Let's add Sandra. Hope you're having a good day today. I hope you have your coffee ready to go because we're going to have a great conversation about women empowerment and what Sandra is doing to support women in business and in life in general and on camera. Okay, so I invited you, Sandra. So let's see if that works. We've tried this before, so let's see if that works. There we go. So I got something coming up here. Approve. There we go. Bring Sandra on camera. I think we did it. We did it. Let's see. We'll split screen in a moment. So I'll just start with the intro. Sandra Dee Robinson is, oh, hey, Sandra, good to see you. We made it. We did it.
Hey. Okay. Yeah, I use an app, and then I do solos all the time, so I was not aware that I couldn't be on my laptop. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine. Yes, perfectly. Yes, I know in the past I've used Be Live, and you can use your laptop with Be Live, but with
Yeah.
Facebook to invite someone, and I'm sorry, that's my bad. I should have, thought of that. But I've only done a few, but everyone that I've done has been all right. But live and learn, right? And that's what happens with entrepreneurs, right? We have to get over that speed bump so that we know for
Yeah.
next time, and we just keep her rolling, right? Keep her going.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. So, Sandra Dee Robinson is a well-known television actress. I remember from her from the soap operas, All My Children, and Another World, I think, too, right?
Yeah. Wasn't on all my children.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. And
Hey,
you're
wasn't on. That's okay.
yeah, well-known speaker, author, and now she is doing, I'm just turning my volume up. I wonder if you could turn your volume up a little bit because I can hear you, but it's a little bit limited.
Yeah. Yes.
And she's now empowering women by stepping into their most powerful self. And that's what I love about what you're doing because with everything in my life, and I remember we interviewed years ago, and that was at a point where I was starting over, and I was really drawn to you back then. And so I'm really excited that you're here, and I appreciate you being here, and I can't wait to hear from you today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I love your positivity and everything that you bring with your interviews, and you're doing a great job. So, yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you. Awesome. So, you've been acting for a long time, and this seems like such an obvious fit for you. But, why are you using horses? Like, I don't know much about horses, so I'm excited to learn about this. But,
Well,
yeah,
my
why the connection?
yeah, my first venture, being an entrepreneur, nobody told me that being an artist is an entrepreneur. That would have been good to know back then. That my
Yeah.
first venture, that really took hold, I tried a few things, was charisma on camera. And that's, I think, when we first met each other. And I was really just working with people to help them with their videos. And then it turned into helping them with, get comfortable in the media. And then those same people were getting so comfortable in their own skin, they were being asked to speak. And then sometimes decided to do their own show, kind of like what you're doing here, online or podcasts and things. And so they just kept expanding. And it sort of morphed into, I know that you talk a bit about God and following that path, and it was definitely a God push to use the horses to empower people. And I sort of ignored it at first, and then the more I ignored it, the stronger that push kept getting. And so, Charismatic Cowgirl was born, and we officially,
Nice.
I mean, I sat there for 2.5 years rolling out beta tests and, just doing workshops in many other ways and thinking I needed somebody else to facilitate. I'm the one that's certified. I'm the one that facilitates, and I really love it. And we happen to get, just by the way, God works, we got a perfect little piece of property outside of Austin, Texas, in Hill Country that's set up great for this. So we have a little herd, and I work with women that come, and I'm actually doing the same thing that I've always done. I'm helping people build relationships. Originally, it was relationships through the camera, the relationship with themselves first, then relationship through the camera, relationship through speaking, then through networking, being called into companies and corporations. I would do workshops to help people with head sales teams build relationships. It's really about relationships. And what I discovered of working with the horses is they will be brutally honest in how you're showing up. And unless you know how you're showing up in the world, you can't really enter into a relationship fully confident that you are going to be in your best light. So I really think that it's been one of the most amazing things to be able to attract these female leaders and help them with their communication and their relationship skills. It's really about helping them build their influence in their field and in their world that they want to make. So it's been great fun. And if I still have clients all over the world that can't necessarily work with the horses, but we're using the same principles that we do with the horses, and very similar to what I've always done when I'm working with them. It's just a very natural approach.
Wow. Yeah, I have just got like three brand new questions off the top of my head because I know nothing about horses, but I
Yeah.
know they're sensitive. I do know that. You need to, like you said, you need to show up because horses are sensitive to people. I do know that much. But like it makes me think of too, like as women, we tend to put on a mask of, just put on a mask, right? We want to show our best person to the world, and by doing that we put on this mask, which is so not us. And so maybe you could talk a little bit about that. Like I remember when we spoke before, you had said that you had to do an interview and show up as yourself, and you didn't know what to do because you were so used to being in acting roles.
Yeah, I actually became an actor. It is a little ironic in a way that I teach confidence, relationships, and influence when I had none of that when I was an actor. I actually became an actor because I was not comfortable in my own skin. I had a self-esteem of zero because I had, and a lot of us have bad programming, I call it, stuff that was
Hmm.
fed to us when we were young and we believed it, even though it wasn't true. And we base our value on some of those experiences or comments and things that happened to us. And I definitely did that with somebody that was very influential to me. And so when I got to the point where, yeah, people were asking me to come and do things because I had a fan following, which was awesome. I mean, I really liked when I was acting, I loved it. The problem was
Hmm.
that when I had this fan following, they would call me in and hand me a microphone to maybe raise money for a charity, which in my heart I wanted to do. But as soon as the microphone would hit my hand and they would say, just be yourself, I had nothing in that file. There was no value in that file. And so most of
Hmm.
that I work with have a lot more in their file than I did. They
Mm.
have, I think, at every point, like you talked about a transition, right? And you've changed your business a couple of times. And every time that
Yes.
you have a transition, don't you think that we go through that search where we kind of lose our footing a little bit and we have to
Hmm.
reestablish who we are, what our strengths are? And that's kind of where I find a lot of women that come to me. On the outside, they look super successful. Everything is pulled together because that's how they want it to look. But on the
Right.
inside, there's something that's not quite solid. And the horses definitely know when there's something that's not congruent with how you're posturing and what's going
Yeah.
on in the inside. Yeah. And
That's
I always
so
think that
cool.
face is the one that's the most real anyway. It's just hard for us sometimes to feel like it's safe to do that.
Yeah, safety is a huge key. Safety and trust, and just the ability to open up to somebody. And yeah, like changing the business. I always say I'm out of my skin right now. I'm just a little out of my skin. So just let me figure this out.
Yeah, and that's a great way to put it because you really are, I say, trying to get your feet underneath you. You're out of your skin. It's that sort of right. I'm not all together right now. Give me a
Yes.
I'll figure out how to put it back together. And when you do get it back together, or even here's the funny thing, if you stand in front of a horse and you literally say, I don't have it together right now, but I'm trying,
Hmm.
that shift in your energy from trying to hold it together, I'm pretending to hold it together, to I don't have it together and I'm trying. Even when I just said that just now, I felt something change in my body.
Yes.
Horses energy because they're giant prey animals. They're not like us. They see the world completely different than we do. We're a predator to them. They are like giant,
Wow.
they're rabbits, they're deer. It's the same. They look at the world the same way. So they read energy so quickly and in such minute differences because it's been for them for hundreds of years. It has been thousands of years. It has been one of the things, maybe the only thing that has kept them alive as a species is to be able to tell when a lion is lying there, peacefully, and when all of a sudden he gets hungry. That energy changes even though his body might not have moved much. So
Right.
that change from, okay, I don't have it together, but I'm trying,
Hmm.
it come from that place. They will totally change the way they react to you. So we do all the work in a round pen when we're working with the horses directly. And my private clients get to do this. And then you'll love this. I have a public, and also you can do a private one of these as well. But I do introduce it to the public at a little event called Wine and Equine. The wine comes after the equine. Uh, but we end these and we talk about the experience. But I noticed that the ladies that show up, the first thing they do is they take a breath because they're usually so overwhelmed, and then I
Hmm.
ask them to use their horse, which is a very big lesson in intuition, which is one of our biggest gifts as women, and we sometimes in business are told to disregard it, but it's one of the
Hmm.
things that we have an advantage sometimes, so we should use that.
Yeah.
And then when I ask them to have, just go in there and build a relationship with this animal, obviously they don't speak the same language. So
Right.
a lot of times what happens is the way they approach that relationship is exactly what is going on in their life that they might need to take a look at in order to be stronger
Hmm.
in either their work relationship, their business, their dating, their family relationship. Inevitably, something will come up. And I never know.
Mm. Yeah, and I think it's too, it's probably those little things that only we know, that we hide from everybody. There's those little things that we know that we need to handle, and maybe it's part of, our confidence, or something that is at home that we haven't handled, that is like drawing on to us. And I think it's really interesting. So what is the assisted therapy that they do with horses called again?
There's so many. There's a lot.
Okay.
It's a anything with has to do with equine assisted. Everything is growing. The
Yes.
field is growing exponentially, and it can be really confusing, even for the
Mm-hmm.
people that are great. It's confusing. So there is equine assisted therapy. My
Okay.
certification is a therapy based certification, but what I'm doing is equine assisted learning or equine
Okay.
assisted coaching. So in essence, it's a little different in the structure of the actual session. So if it's a therapy like a psychotherapy, that's
Mm-hmm.
equine assisted psychotherapy or equine assisted psychotherapy or equine assisted therapy in that specific place at that specific name. Then you would have a psychotherapist along with the horse behaviorist. I would then fall into the horse behaviorist category. So there's
Okay.
people in with you if you're going to be the client. When it's equine assisted coaching, most of the time it's just the coach, the client, and the horse. So
Okay.
it's a more intimate environment. And if somebody comes up and says, "Oh, I have a friend that has post-traumatic stress," I say, "You know what? That's really something that you should have a psychotherapist with you. Let me recommend you to a therapy center that does the same type of work that I do, but they can provide a little bit more support for trauma."
Mm.
Now,
Right.
there's also, you probably heard equine assisted therapy as far as physical therapy, autism, various
Right.
disabilities. Yeah. and they use horses. Horses have so many different assets in the way they can benefit us.
Hmm.
I really work with them in the relationship category, but the movement on the back of a horse really helps children that have disabilities. It kind of has a stimulation of the spine sometimes, and just the fact that they are around the horse. This is what's interesting. There is science behind what I'm doing. That's one of the reasons that I love the certification that I got.
Hmm.
They give that. There's a science that even shows up with the children that have the disabilities, that horses have an electromagnetic field that is 8 times larger than ours. Kind of makes sense. They're bigger than we are, but that's quite a
Yeah.
bit. And that electromagnetic field, we can actually get affected by that. They are so calm in their usual states that you've seen them get up and run and play and all that. But usually their heart rate is 22 to 44 when they're just chilling
Wow.
grass. Now it can jump to
That's
200,
low.
150 so they can take off. They're designed for speed. That's what saves them from the predators. But generally, they're pretty chill animals. And when we take someone, they've done this study so many times, and it's come true every time. You take somebody that has an elevated heart rate, elevated blood pressure, maybe even a little anxiety, and you put them in the center of a herd of horses, and they put
Hmm.
their heads down, go back to grazing, that human's heart rate actually will
Wow.
drop since I've been working with them. In fact, at one point, that was sent to a cardiologist because my heart rate was so low, and they were concerned.
Really?
Yeah, and they put me
Wow.
through tests and everything, and they're like, "Okay, you're fine. I guess that's just your normal." And I have had a low heart rate, but it dropped into the 30s at one point.
What?
It was 38.
Wow.
Yeah, I
38.
38 when they checked me at the doctor, and they're like, "We're gonna send you to the cardiologist." And of course, I got scared. I'm like, "What?" And
Yes.
all I think of is that it's probably from just being around them all the time and being in that
Wow.
state. It really does affect us, and so there's actually a physical reaction to being with them. So for the ladies that do have horses, and we say, "I feel better when I'm with my horse," now we have proof. Why?
Right.
Based on something truthful. Yeah,
You feel a
yeah.
sense of calm, you don't even realize it. It's interesting because my daughter has a heart condition now after all her treatment, and her heart rate has gone as high as like 180. And that was like emergency time. Like it was crazy. It was when she was like 8 months pregnant or something. It was crazy. So it was a mad, actually, she was already in the hospital. That's right. We were at the hospital getting tests, and it went that high just from climbing stairs because the hospital, the elevator's super slow. It's an older hospital, but it's the only heart hospital here in Vancouver. So it's, anyhow, but
It's
her heart
all
rate now is,
like climb the stairs. It doesn't make any sense.
I know it's crazy. Like but she was also like 8 months pregnant with a heart condition, right? But now her heart rate is so like 80. It's at like 80. It's so good. And
Yeah.
I wonder what that does for our blood pressure too. I'm just curious. My blood pressure is typically 60 over 50, super, super, super low. So
Wow.
yeah, I'm on pass out stage sometimes. But
Well,
yeah, like I
I
mean, we
it would be interesting to get your daughter just around horses, and obviously some
yeah,
people are afraid of them, which is another benefit. I mean, if you're afraid of them, and I've had some people start their sessions and actually stand outside the round pen rather than go in with the horse initially, or they have me go in with them because they're big animals and they're afraid of them, which I
yeah,
think you should show respect to them because they are big, and
yes.
if they want to, they could hurt you. So I think it's
Hmm.
smart, and it's up to me to keep people safe, make sure that they don't put themselves in any kind of harm's way as far as being in the wrong side of the horse or anything like that. That they might get squished against the fence. But I test my horses for their temper and their personality, of course.
Right.
So while personalities are all very different, all of them are pretty much on the chill side. I'm not worried about them lashing out or doing anything crazy. However, they have their own minds and they will react the way they're going to react. So if somebody is afraid, I'll go in with them. But I think for some, I have one woman that just was able to, she was so terrified because of a childhood situation with horses that she was just pleased as anything to just stand there next to one of my biggest horses. And I have a picture of her. That's all that she
Yeah.
needed was to conquer this fear. And it led into conquering
Oh,
other areas of her life. But she said, I know it wasn't based in anything that should bother me, but there's a picture of her just standing there with this huge smile on her face, like a foot away from my big horse, and that was all she needed. Like sometimes people's
Wow.
breakthroughs are so simple, and
Yes.
sometimes they're very dramatic. You know, sometimes the horse is running around and they're running with them, and it's totally different. But for her, it was just a really, you know, calm moment of being able to stand there in peace and happiness in a situation that
Hmm.
would have been terrified just a little bit before that. So yeah.
Wow. Yeah, my girlfriend has three horses and I've never been in the pen with them. I think trust is such a huge thing to know that you are qualified in this therapy. And I like what you said that you bring people in with you and the horse and them, and it's not like this big group going in.
No, I mean, if we do the groups, it's usually 6 to 10 people, 6 to 10 women,
Hmm.
um, and we'll have one person in with the horse at a time. So there'll be other people outside, and I ask
Yeah.
them to be quiet. For the most part, it's a pretty peaceful situation, you know. And what I've discovered is that I've had some female leaders come in, and through working with the horse, they have discovered that they work too hard. In
Hmm.
other words, one woman shows one of my most powerful horses, and she's a very strong. I mean, you look at her, and the woman that looks like a leader, right? And she was
Yes.
working
Yeah.
executive at one of the large corporations here in Austin, and handling an international team of people. And you would just look at her and go, "Oh yeah, of course, that would be her." So she chooses
She's the
this
boss.
super strong horse. I'm like, okay, that's appropriate, right? And sometimes I don't know where people are going, but I'm like, okay, so that seems to fit. And she's like, well, I want to make her run. Okay. So she does, without much work, get the horse running. But interestingly enough, she's running after the horse.
Oh,
And then she stopped. She's like, I can't believe I'm so out of breath. I can't believe I thought I was in shape. And the horse, by the way, is still doing what she asked her to do. And I
right.
said, well, let's review. What is it that you wanted your horse, your partner, to do? And she realized that she already had it, but she was still asking for it.
Mm.
And she asked the horse to stop, which of course immediately the horse did in her situation.
Yeah.
And she said, "This is why I'm so tired when I get home from work, because
Mm.
she gives assignments to her people and
Yeah.
then continues to chase them down and follow up more than she really needs to.
Right.
Exhausted. Because sometimes you have to lead from behind. You have to give people the space to do what you've asked them to do, and she wasn't doing that. Uh,
Mm.
Another woman come in outwardly very. So I'm just giving you examples. I hope this helps. If people are
Oh, I
confused
love
outwardly.
it. I love it.
Um, I had another woman come in, and she chose my boy, a boy horse, and she said, "Well, I want to work on my dating life." Even though her business, was going great, I didn't even realize that she was single until she showed up.
Mhm.
And she said, "I think I want to work on my dating life." Well, I didn't know if she was dating somebody or like I don't know what was going on. And she had one friend that was in the group, close friend that was in the group of women, and my horse, who knows better, started kind of pushing her, and she pet him. And then he pushed her again, even harder, and she pet him. And then he kind of nuzzled her shirt, and she pet him. Then he took a bite of her shirt. Now he's not allowed to do any of this. I'm mama horse, and I'm sitting there going, I want to smack him. He is not allowed to do. But for some reason, he
Yeah.
was doing her right.
Right.
Their relationship with you is completely different than the person that was in the round pen with them before. They are
Wow.
very in the moment, reading off of you. It doesn't matter what happened 10 seconds before or what's going to happen 10 seconds ahead. There, if you ask a horse what time it is, they say it's now.
Right.
So he's in that situation with her, and he feels it's fine to go ahead and start nibbling on her boot. And she's in leggings and cowboy boots. So the next
Right.
thing is that he's going to nibble on those leggings, which is not even a jean. I mean, it's leggings. So the women are kind of getting squeamish over in the corner because they're waiting for that bite, right? And I'm just sitting there, and I'm waiting for it's for me. A lot of it is I'll just say it's Holy Spirit led. So I'm like I'm done. Come on now. Should I say something now? I'm like I'm getting nope, nope. I'm like holy
Yeah.
crap, I'm biting her boot. Can I say something now? Nope. So I know I'm getting nervous. I'm like, come on. And then finally, now I said, so I noticed that he's kind of nibbling at you. And she goes, yeah, I probably shouldn't let him do that. And she's petting him.
Right.
And meanwhile, the girlfriend that came with her is jumping out of her skin, like obviously
Mm-hmm.
to my left. And I'm not looking at her because I'm concentrating on the girl that's in the pen with the horse. And later I find out that her best friend is jumping up and down, and you don't understand. She volunteered as soon as we had what we call a circle up. That's where the wine and cheese comes out. And we talk about how we can take what we experienced and move it into our personal relationships and our work life and things. And she said, when I was watching her in the round pen with that horse, she says, you don't understand. And the woman confirmed this, that she dates guys that end up treating her just like that.
They pick and
Yeah,
take.
they
Mm.
pick, and they end up getting really, a couple of them have gotten abusive with her. And I said, so
Uh,
you have stopped that. Like, when does your boundary kick in? And
right.
after they got abusive, and then she would leave. But now understanding that from the very beginning, when this horse pushed her and she pet him,
Yeah.
that's when she should have said no,
No.
or the
Yeah.
second time when he nibbled. Like, there should have been somewhere along there that she checked in and said, this doesn't feel
Stop.
right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So a woman like that would come back possibly and work with me and set those boundaries and maybe work with a few different horses and make sure that those boundaries are consistent. So that when I go
Right.
out and dating, that she would have the ability, sometimes for women, having the ability to get a horse that is 1,200 pounds to react to them, even if they're
Yeah.
5 foot tall, tiny. It gives them this sense of like, oh, I don't have to put up with crap from people.
Hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
I had one woman say, thank you, I found my voice, because she had been being, and she said, I stood up for myself. The situation totally changed. Great. Well, that is that, just knowing you have the power. Mind,
Nice. I find it interesting that horse knew what she needed. That
oh yeah,
horse knew,
that's
you know.
his thing about it is that they're my horses, and like in that situation, I could never have told you that he would do that. If you said, does this horse bite? I'm like, oh, heck no. When I got him, he did. He was a
Hmm.
rescue. Almost every one of our animals here is a rescue in one form or another. So when we got him, he had been just neglected and left, and he was a brat. He bit, he kicked, he shoved, he was just obnoxious. But that
Hmm.
was 7 or 8 years ago. He hasn't done that behavior in the past 7 years.
Right.
So I would
Wow.
thought, but yeah, apparently I really think that God works through nature and he uses these horses to be able to get messages across. Sometimes I had one woman that tried to, and this is when we try to use other people's voices as our own. We do that
Mm.
if somebody wants to, to do a video, they try to do it like somebody else. Or last night I was speaking and I had a gentleman say, well, I copy my mentor's voice when I'm on the phone because this is me. And so that's what I've been doing. And I go, how's that working for you? And he goes, well, it's a little uncomfortable. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, find your own way of doing that. And in the case here, I had a woman that had worked with the same horse that the person before her had. So she
Hmm.
comes in and before her had this horse moving around. And so she was trying to get the horse to move around. But keep in mind, the second woman had come in stressed, tears in her eyes, late. And I know she's dealing with 3 children that have degenerative disorders. It's serious. They're going blind and deaf, all 3 of them.
Mm.
And is head of a board. She's head of her company. I mean, she's just trying to hold all of it together with home. So when she took up, I could see where she was, and so could the horse. That horse was not going to move at all. The horse up back and just putting his eyes next to her eyes and just shining forward.
Sorry, Sandra, just 1 second. I'm just going to shut my window because there's a garbage truck going by. It's really, really loud. 1 second.
Okay.
I thought it was gone, but it came back again.
Oh, that's all right. I mean, at least the windows open. It's too hot and muggy here in Austin to do that. So
Mm.
some of the things, like this woman couldn't get the horse to move, and then she started to get upset because she thought she was failing. And I went over to her and I said, what are you trying to do? And she said, I want her to move. I said, is that really what you need? And she kind of looked at me kind of funny, and she glanced over at the horse who had followed her over. and was just blocking. At this point, this horse was literally blocking the crowd from
Mm-hmm.
her, as if to protect her energetically. She was actually
Wow.
putting her to separate this woman and just look at her. And I get up like thinking about this. The woman just started crying, and she said that end of that week when I checked in with her, she said I had 2 funerals to go to on top of everything else that she was going. And she said, every time that I thought it was going to be a really rough time and I wasn't going to get through it, she goes, I pictured that horse's eyes looking at me and knowing that I
Wow.
was taking, like,
Wow.
I can't make this stuff up. I can't know that this is what's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
I have no idea. But in that case, the horse did not do what the woman asked her to, but she gave her what she needed.
Yeah. Isn't that the
Yeah.
best? Because God always gives us what we need, right? And I love, love, love that you're walking in your God-given purpose. Like this is obviously so, like this is comes right from the depths of your heart. And I just love it. It's so great to hear about it. And
It's not always easy when you follow. I think you had
yeah.
you were interviewing
Yeah.
somebody else. Maybe it was Jen, and she said the same thing. It's like there's times that you go, oh man, I don't know if I can do this. But if ever I doubt, I get a message straight. I swear it's a message straight, like a voice that I hear in my head.
Yeah.
One point I said, I can't do this. I'm not going to start these whine and equines. I'm not going to start this charismatic cowgirl stuff. This is crazy. I have 1,000 reasons why it shouldn't be me. We had friends here with these big, glorious, grand, extraordinary, right? Like 1,300 acres. And we have a small property and a cute little barn. And I
Yeah.
was like, it's not big enough. It's not fancy enough. I don't know enough. I like all the reasons, all the excuses that we can
Yeah.
come up that we are given an opportunity and we immediately go, no, not me, like Moses, right? No, don't send me,
Hmm.
don't. And all I kept getting was finally, it was a push. Then finally I heard, I got you the barn.
Yeah.
It was the property. This property
Mm.
was not the hours. It was through an amazing, series of events that we actually we actually got it.
Hmm.
And so that's what the answer was. I gave you the barn. Then now what am I going to say? It's like, right.
Hmm.
Okay, well, I guess we'll step into it and see what happens. And so, yeah, we launched in fall of last year. And
Mm.
through the summers, we don't do a lot. I do a lot more speaking and working with clients over the phone and things because it's just so hot. I mean, the humidity and the heat are really outrageous here up until about September. So we
Mm.
don't do a lot outside in the summer here, but maybe next year we're trying. We have people trying to get me out to like maybe Colorado or California or maybe BC.
Oh, yeah. That'd be so cool.
Well, love an excuse to come up where you are. Yeah,
Hmm.
so we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about like sales because I mean, we're business women. We need to make sales to support our families and our life and all of that. So how does that translate to women in leadership and empowerment and sales in our business? How does that help us?
I think what I touched on before, like last night when I had the gentleman in the group say, I'm talking like my mentor talks when I'm on the phone with people.
Right.
Uh, when you're working with the horses, if you come in and try to pretend to be somebody else, like I said, they're kind of look at you like, well, you're an animal that doesn't make sense to them, right?
Hmm.
And I think on a subconscious level, we react the exact same way. If somebody isn't congruent in the way they're thinking and what they're saying, we kind of go, okay, but we're not really 100% on board. We don't walk away instantly connected and magnetized to them. Whereas if
Hmm.
we are able to come from that place and really communicate the way we communicate, like naturally, because some people are different. There are extroverts that are like the first ones to walk up and shake a hand, and then there's others that sit quietly and only voice things when they're necessary. There are people that are great in front of a crowd, and then there's those that are really just better one on one. I have trained people that are better one on one to get in front of a crowd.
Yeah.
I have them talk to everybody in the crowd one on one.
Oh.
So right? And like, no, you're
Hmm.
gonna have the same with video. If you say, well, there's millions of people that could be seeing me, even if you are lucky enough to have millions of people watching your video, they're all watching one at a time.
Yes.
So it's a private conversation. So if you are that one-on-one type of person and that's where you're comfortable, it doesn't mean you can't do all the other things. You just have to know what way that you best communicate. Are you funny? Be funny.
Mm-hmm.
Even if nobody else in your field is funny. It's like, well, I'm in insurance. Nobody's funny in insurance. I'm just using that as an example. But if you
Right.
are, stand out. So let whatever you bring to the world that is unique and different shine through. You're going to be much more comfortable, and so will everybody else because it's really who you are. So, what do
Totally.
you bring to the world? How do you communicate? What are your values?
Mm-hmm.
Let people know what those are because, Vera, you do that, and you
Mm-hmm.
attract people that you want to into your business and into your community, right?
Yes.
And without letting people know what you're all about, like say you swallow those values. If somebody's is, if you're in a group and somebody's doing something like, I'll just I'll just say, okay, gossip. I'm not a big fan of gossip. I tend to walk away
Right.
from it. No value in it. I think it's usually hurtful. So if
Mm-hmm.
gossip starts, I don't swallow that. I don't sit there and nod my head. I go, you know
Right.
what? Um, I'm not gonna do this. I'll catch
Yeah.
you guys later. I will leave.
Yeah.
And they instantly know, oh, we're not gonna call her for a gossip session, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Um,
you can find other things to do with them, that particular person, and they will have to rise up to that. Either that or you don't see them.
Yeah, and I've done that a few different occasions where I had girls
Yeah.
that got really into that. Oh my gosh! And then this happened, and then he said, I'm like, you know what? It doesn't really matter to me. So how's your
Yeah.
mom doing? No, I mean, I'll try to change the subject and get off of it, and they
Yeah.
soon realize, oh, okay, she's not gonna do those things. And if they really need to gossip, then they're not gonna come around, and that's okay. That's
Yeah.
building that sphere of influence. When I said that I help people build their influence, it starts with your personal relationships and then it just extends
Yes.
from there. So you've always heard this financially, of course, that you are the sum of the five people that you hang around with. Sometimes that's
Mm-hmm.
shocking. Take a good look at yourself and you go, oh, yikes. Hmm. um, but it's true, and it's also the same when it comes to levels of success, levels of integrity, level of happiness. All of
Mm-hmm.
that looked at who are the people that are closest to you. So if you really want to create a change in the world and you know what that change is, then choose people in your life that are going to support that. They're going to support
Yeah.
your values. That and you have to do that work yourself. You have to be congruent. You have to be
Yeah.
connected to all. So I work with people on that clarity before I ever start working on their message. Because
Yeah.
how word a message if you don't know what your purpose is?
Yes. Yes. I after watching my daughter literally fight for her life, I took a boundaries course at my church because I was like, when I came out of that experience, because it was crazy to watch your daughter fight for her life. I was like, my heart is different. My heart has changed. I'm a different person walking out of that room. And I knew boundaries I needed to learn how to set boundaries in a different way and in a wonderful, lovely way, that something that is respectful, not like I'm going to say, I can't see your face anymore. I know I'm going to say, well, you know what, this doesn't suit me, so I'll walk away, or things like that. So I love the fact that you talk a lot about boundaries, and how the horses can really show us that we don't have them at certain points, maybe, right? Like
Yeah,
maybe I feel like I've got so many boundaries and it's great, but maybe there's one part that I'm not addressing.
or sometimes the boundaries have gotten too thick and they become a wall. So,
Yes.
and the
Yeah.
horse will tell you to do. So something you might want to try is going in with your friends' horses, not all three of them at once, but go and just hang out with them. Just hang out with them and
Really.
watch and see
Ooh.
how they do. And ask her which one is the calmest, and go in with that one first. But I've had people that have been working on boundaries, and I said, does it feel like the horse is in your space? And they would say, yes. And I said, okay, walk away. And then the horse started to follow. I said, now just put your hand out. And they looked at me like I was crazy, and they just put their hand out, like about here,
Right.
and they stopped the horse. I said, was that hard? And they're like, no. I said, it's not hard to do that with humans either. You just get
Yes.
like the right words, which are the
Yeah.
same thing. Putting a hand up, saying, you know what, this doesn't suit me right now. I think that's the words that you used. This isn't for me
Yes.
right now. Yeah.
Yeah. And if
And
you can
not
do that with such a big
No, you said not to be afraid to do that. Yeah.
Oh, yes, yes. If you can do that with such a big, majestic animal, then it's easier. Like you're like, whoa, I can do this. Yeah,
Yes.
that's cool.
Change women and kind of reconnect them to their natural strengths when they
Hmm.
realize, oh, this giant, monster of a creature, so sometimes that's what it looks like to some of them, is actually listening to me, or is
Yes.
actually following me, or actually likes me in some circumstances,
Hmm.
right? And I have seen when I first started doing this work, I had 5 women working with a different facilitator that I was actually kind of co-facilitating, I guess,
Hmm.
supporting in this. But there were 5 women, and they brought my horse, who's no longer with us, but they brought her in, and she was a little very sensitive, but a little aloof.
Hmm.
And she chose to, like some people, sit back, watch the situation, and then come and join in.
Hmm.
And so all 5 women had a different take on this animal. Each one of them went up and tried to, and they watched each other do it. The first woman says, well, she basically gave me the middle finger. Okay. The second one said, she rejected me. The third one
Hmm.
said, I'm trying to think, but they were all negative. Every one of them was negative, which was a reflection of how these women saw themselves.
Wow.
And the funny thing is, none of that was right, because as we're all circled up, still in the round pen, and the horse is there, we're all circled up, and these women are saying, she hated me. She was, she was nasty. They were using more difficult language.
Hmm.
Um, and this and that, and I was rejected, and I don't know why she rejected me. The horse walks right up and joins the group in between all of them. So their thoughts of being rejected and what the other individual in the partnership was thinking were completely wrong. And it
Right.
was a lesson for them that you don't know what other people are thinking. You're only responsible for your own take on that.
Hmm.
So their reaction to new situations, they might want to do a check on that, because they'll think if somebody walks away, or they'll take things very personally. And all of those women were working on that exact thing of taking things way too personally. And, was it Don Miguel Ruiz? Is he the one that has the 4 agreements, the agreements
Hmm.
that you make with yourself? And one of them is don't take things personally.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's a boundary.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, our thoughts are one of my scriptures is Philippians 4:8, which is think on what is pure, lovely, admirable, what is of good report. Think on all the good things,
Yeah.
but it's funny how that's our natural state is a go-to of a negative, right? So I love that scripture. It keeps me focused on the future and that too. But I just wanted to touch, sorry.
Morning ritual. Do you do a morning ritual to get yourself in a positive state of mind?
Yes, I do. Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
I listen to worship music and I do some journaling and I pray. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good way to set up the day.
Hmm. And I just wanted to touch base on when we were talking about how people were, how you help people in front of a crowd who are not comfortable in front of a crowd. How do you speak to one person? It's funny because what popped into my head when you're talking about that is when I do my YouTube videos, I'm like, oh, I just hate doing this, but I know I'm building relationship with my subscribers. So I want to
Yeah.
be able to send a video to my subscribers so they know who I am, so that they can connect with me. And then I started doing the interviews. I'm like, this is my jam. This is it. Like I love doing interviews. I love talking to people, getting their perspectives. So it was a tweak that I needed to accomplish.
Yeah.
And I feel proud of this work. I feel proud to share you with my subscribers because you're doing something that changes people's lives, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, just a little
Yeah.
tweak.
I see it on an individual basis. And so, yeah. And anytime that you have that, a friend of mine, Candy Barone, is a coach and a
Hmm.
speaker as well. And I love how she put it one day. She's a little bit more, I just say our approach to things is very different. So we once had somebody say, well, I already have one of you in the group and the other one's to come. Will you guys be okay in the group together? And we both laughed. We're like, we love each other, but we're so different, right? So she's a
Right.
little bit more blunt and out there. And so she basically says, I'm going to have haters and I don't really care. She goes, you can hate me all you want. I'm going to get up and I'm going to say what I want to say in my videos every single day, because if I help one person, just one person by what I'm saying, then it's worth it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, shocked, and every once in a while I hear her voice when I start to chicken out because maybe I'm having a bad hair day, or I don't feel like, I'm feeling a little down. We all have those days, right? And I just put
Yeah.
an old blog up about pity parties, having a pity party for ourselves. It's not that we can't do that, but the goal is to find ways to get out of that party pretty quick.
Yeah.
Like you want to get the
Yes.
door pretty quick. So we all have those. And on those days when I'm like, I don't really feel like I'm good enough to do this, or I'm not in the best mood, or I don't have great energy, or I'm rushed, or my hair looks bad, or my eyes are puffy, or
Yeah.
I think of her voice. I think of her like basically sounding like an army sergeant going, if I want to do this, I'm going to do it. And if
Yeah.
anybody doesn't like it, that's tough. If I help one person, and that's
Then
something
it's
to
worth
think
it.
of. If you have just one
Hmm.
person that you've changed the way they're going to be living out their day, or who knows, you hear these stories where you didn't know, but years later you find out that you've made to save somebody's life or change them
Yeah,
from
you
doing
don't
something
know.
really hurtful just
Yeah.
because they saw your video.
Hmm.
So it's
It's
that
worth
much
it.
more motivation to get out there. It's not about you doing the video.
Hmm.
It's about who you're trying to reach and what could happen from it. So
And I just want to like also say like women, we need to do the work to figure out like we need to get in that pen with the horse to find out what the next step is. What is the next step that I need to tweak? We owe, I mean, I feel like I owe that to you, anyone that you're leading, right? It's important that you're doing the work within yourself to move forward and yeah, so how can people, sorry, go ahead.
I was say it's huge. I was agreeing with you. Yeah, it's huge to be able to do that work, especially because women, we identify with titles a lot. So the title of mom, the title of wife, the title of boss, and even if we're younger, the title of student, and then you become an employee. Like every time that you do that, like I said, it's where you say, I feel like I'm out of my skin, right? We
Yeah.
have to reset ourselves and go, oh no, okay, these are my skills I need for this journey, this part of my journey, and I'm okay, and I'm prepared, and I'm perfectly designed, and this is where I'm supposed to be,
Yeah.
and all right with that. And I think that's what can make you a really good leader. If you don't set on your own good, solid foundation, not that things aren't going to go wrong, and not that you're not going to have, like I said, days where you go, oh, my eyes are puffy, I don't feel great. But
Hmm.
you know that there's going to be temporary situations, and that's where I think that work really comes in. And if you are a leader, then you have to be able to get back to that. I'm reading a book now, and the woman calls it zero. Get back to zero. Get back to no fluff. This is who I am. Be solid in it. Love it, and move out from there. Yeah.
I'm reading a book called it's all on decluttering your life. I have to I took a picture of it. I just started reading it. So yeah, that's really cool. I like
You do.
reading new books and just challenging myself. Sorry?
Like you do not want to see my closet right now. We're in the middle of
Oh.
rearranging furniture, and I walk into my bedroom, and it's one of those like I prioritize, right? And it's killing me. Because I've got so many other things I need to get done for business, and I walk into my bedroom, and I'm like, don't look, don't look.
Mm,
To me, it's
don't like
clutter, right? Killing me,
I've actually
killing me.
done a tremendous job of cleaning out my house, but my thing is I know that there's little things that I haven't addressed, like a phone call I need to make, something I need to jot down personally that I need to handle that nobody else knows I need to do. So it's those little things that I need to just declutter so I can focus better.
That's
But
brain, right? That's brain clutter.
hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, brain clutter, exactly. So, Sandra, like, tell us how we can connect with you on your horse retreats and your therapy and all of that.
You can always find me on social media. So Sandra D, spell that out like as in Greece, Sandra D Robinson.
Yeah,
Uh, Charismatic Cowgirl is the work with the horses, and myname.com is the way you can find me. And if you go there, you can download a free copy of my book. We're going to be putting up some stuff in a little while. We're going to be constantly changing out the free gifts and things that come out. So if you're in the community, you'll get them. There's a Facebook group, which I'd love for ladies to join if you want to learn a little
nice,
bit more and get inspiration on a daily basis. That's the Charismatic Cowgirl Facebook group. So
nice.
asked to join. I don't think I've turned down anybody except maybe a couple of guys that were a little sketchy. So really for empowering women leaders, and we have fun. I do interviews on there as well. like you do. So, and I love it. So that's probably the best way to go ahead and do that. And then you'll be privy to some of the free stuff that we have set up. So I've just went through a couple of weeks of working on new marketing, which really for me is just what can I give people that will
Yeah.
help them. And so we putting together a bunch of stuff, and the first of it should be up tomorrow. So yeah,
Nice.
that's one way. And if you do want to experience the wine and equine, we've had people come into Austin from Los Angeles, from Houston, from the East Coast. So you can go ahead and do that at charismaticcowgirl.com. You'll see the next one coming up is in October, and you can also book one with your friends if you wanted to come and experience it that
Wonderful.
way.
It
Yeah.
sounds like such life-changing, but also like just a great experience, you know? So I'm happy for you. I'm happy that you're following God's call in your life, and just hopefully maybe I can come down. That'd be a lot of fun.
I would love for you to come down. Yes, yes, yes.
Hmm. Yeah. So you have the most wonderful day, and thanks for being here again. And I'm sure we'll talk again soon.
Awesome. Thank you, Vera.
Okay, bye.